Dr. Ashley Frawley, who's a sociologist, talking about, well, a call for a ban on smacking. Who's saying this? Well, it's the NSPCC, the children's charity, backed by big names like the Alan Shearer, Sir Michael Caine and others, celebrities who've signed a letter handed into Downing Street yesterday. Dr. Ashley Frawley, they're saying that parents should not be allowed to smack their children, or even just a little slap, little tap. It's illegal in many other countries, legal in Scotland and Wales, but not in England, where it's protected under the Children Act. But should parents be allowed to hit their kids?
Yes, I think the vast majority of parents who do practice this use a light smack on the back of the legs or the back of the hand for the purposes of discipline, and they know the difference between beating a child and a light smack for the purposes of discipline. I think it's really disingenuous to portray this as like a clarification of the law. It absolutely isn't. The law recognizes that some parents do use that form of parenting, whatever you might think of it, and that is not assault. And they want to remove that so that a light smack becomes assault. And that is really, really serious. Even if you are accused of assaulting your child, the investigation breaks up the family. It is extremely serious. And they've often said explicitly it's to send a message. You want to send a message, talk, clarify the law. You don't send a message by sending police around to someone's house to arrest parents for a parenting style that you don't like.
Well, indeed. Look, I've never hit my child, but I had one daughter, you know, two parents, one daughter. We were very clear and firm. I'm kind of the view that if you end up needing to slap your child with its hand or the bottom, you know, you may have lost a certain amount of authority and discipline in what's going on. That said, I've got a lot of friends, lovely, good people, good, loving parents with lovely kids. And the kids, particularly boys, actually, you know, they found that the only thing that did work was that little physical slap. And they've done everything, they've tried everything, and that's what they've done. The idea that those parents would be criminalised is obviously ridiculous. And one of the issues with the children's charity, the NSPCC, is they are dealing with the horrors of children who are genuinely abused by parents who beat them, who torture them, parents who neglect on a horrible basis, who allow the most awful things to happen to their children from other people or do it themselves. I mean, and then they're trying to say that a parent who slaps their kid on the bottom when they've repeatedly refused to listen is in some way equivalent to those evil parents, and they're not.
Yeah, and it actually makes it a lot more difficult to deal with those serious situations because finding serious child abuse is like finding a needle in a haystack. And what you're proposing to do is just add a ton more needles, essentially. So you're not actually protecting children. And in fact, when, you know, even if you disagree with this, you know, I've got two small children, well, they're 7 and 9 now, but, you know, it's not a parenting style that I used. But I do recognize that there are a lot of loving parents who wish to do this, and they're not criminals in any way.
They haven't got to. I mean, sometimes people say, well, actually, you know, it's parents, you're because you're angry or you're exasperated. But I'm like, well, yeah, that's real life, isn't it? That is real life. Sometimes you are pushed to a limit.
It's true. Sometimes that a parent might be pushed to a limit, but it is also true that some parents do consciously use smacking as a backup method. And, you know, and they are using it very consciously, and it clears the air. They give the child a hug afterward. And there are studies that show in families that have a lot of affection that physical discipline is actually produces very strong results with children with clear boundaries that know that they're loved. So the situation is actually very, very complicated. And to say that this is simply assault causes way more problems than it actually solves.
That these celebs again, and other people, I'm sure they're well-meaning, but this idea that, but children, you know, if you went up and smacked someone in the street, that would be assault and a criminal action. But if you smack your child, it's not, and how wrong that is. But that's completely ignoring, you know, the rights of the child, the rights of the parent, and the role that the parent has to discipline and educate a child. Again, I think that if you are smacking your kid repeatedly, and I think you maybe need some better techniques for parenting, and I think we should be helping parents not to do that. But it's the idea that, you know, criminalising loving parents who are trying to do their best, often in difficult circumstances, with a child who's acting up. I would be worried for the child if you want to know what the full background is, but they're not bad people, and they're not committing a crime.
I mean, arresting people because there are probably better ways to parent is not something I think we should be doing as a rational society.
Well, in that case, we'd have to arrest all those liberal parents who let their kids run around restaurants, wouldn't we?
Well, this is another issue.
Now, there's plenty of those kids you could happily slap.
Yeah, I mean, we've problematized discipline. Like, there's actually a bigger picture here about like where this is coming from. There's this sort of trendy positive parenting where like any kind of discipline and negative feelings in the child is really frowned upon.
Yeah.
But you, as a parent, you have a special relationship with that child. You're not responsible for the socialization of an adult on the street. You expect that that adult has already been socialized. You have a special relationship with this child.
Exactly.
You are responsible for this child's upbringing, and you cannot do that unless you give the child firm boundaries. And unfortunately, as a parent, you must make a child feel bad sometimes. We don't like doing it, but we have to do it. And it's an important part of setting a boundary.
What you did was wrong and you will be punished for it. Whether it's, I mean, I know a lot of kids who'd say they would rather they were, got a slap than sent to their room for 2 hours. Dr. Ashley Frawley is a sociologist. Thank you so much. Really appreciate you joining us.